Welcome to week 12 of my self-important Magic the Gathering show. I got a new mic recently. It's a desk mic, so I'm not going to be smacking my mic whenever I go to scratch my face anymore. You'll have to tell me how it sounds for these episodes because I have it in a different spot than I have it for my video game episodes. Because I have to use my keyboard for this show, so my mic is a tiny bit farther away than it is than when I'm playing video games. With that being said, let's get on with it. Simic. The color combination of green and blue. I'm not a fan of Simic. I think I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that people in general aren't fans of Selesnya, the white and green color combination, because a lot of their decks seem to be the same. You're either putting a lot of +1/+1 counters on stuff, or you're barfing out a lot of token dudes, or more recently, you're like doing life gain shenanigans and enchantment stuff. But Simic, I feel, has even fewer decks, and they're even more boring. Because what do you do with Simic? You draw extra cards and put more lands into play. And I blame this on what I refer to as the Cult of Simic at Wizards of the Coast, the group of developers that just keep this color combination in this little box and refuse to go outside of it. Draw extra cards, put more lands into play. Even a couple of years ago when the Strixhaven set came out and they tried to like revamp the enemy color pairs for like one set, and Quandrix was the blue-green combination for that set, and honestly, they just came off as Simic with extra steps. They did have a thing where they would make tokens and put a bunch of +1/+1 counters on them, and that was neat, but they didn't lean into that. No, they had this other thing where it's like, if you have 8 lands in play, you get a bonus. And how do you get 8 lands in play, my dude? Oh, well, you draw extra cards and put extra lands into play. And yeah, it was just squandered potential, in my opinion. Simic has another thing that they used to do, but they don't do as much as they used to. It's more of a tertiary thing now. And that is put a bunch of +1/+1 counters on things. In fact, there was a card called Simic Ascendancy where when you had the enchantment out, if you've put a total of 20 +1/+1 counters on stuff, you win the game, like as an alternate win condition. But they don't do that as much as they do. They just really lean into the draw card, play land. The Cult of Simic is also who I blame for the 3 mana value mythic rare Simic cards that seem to constantly get banned like soon after the set comes out. Like original was Uro, Titans of Nature's Wrath. It drew you 1 extra card and put 1 extra land into play that you could play on turn 3. And then on turn 4, assuming you had a bunch of stuff in your graveyard, you could get this 6/6 that would draw you extra cards and put extra lands into play every time it attacked. Also gained you some life. Then there's Oko, Thief of Crowns, who did a bunch of stuff. None of that stuff had to do with drawing cards and lands that I remember, but it was still broken, had to be banned. Uro had to be banned, and then more recently, Nadu, Winged Wisdom, if you heard of that card, had to be banned because it's just completely absurdly broken. Drew extra cards. I think it put extra lands into play. It was gross. Anyway, so the first of the decks that I have, and as you can see, I put in my lands already because I kind of had a hiccup with my internet and it wasn't letting me do anything. So I had to throw away part of a recording. That was fun. So let's meet our commander. Nicanzil, Current Conductor. Green-blue for a 2/3 Merfolk Scout. Whenever a creature you control explores, and when you explore, a card will tell you to explore. You reveal the top card of your deck, and if it is a land card, you put it in your hand. If it is not a land card, you put a +1/+1 counter on the creature that explored. So, Nicanzil gives you some bonuses for exploration. Whenever a creature you control explores a land card, you can put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. Whenever a creature you control explores a non-land card, put a +1/+1 counter on Nicanzil, current Conductor. So while that is standard Simic horse hockey that I'm not a fan of, draw extra card, put land into play, at least it also does the other Simic thing of put +1/+1 counters on creatures. So I'm willing to forgive it. So let's take a look at our land, since I normally do that on the recording. We got Boseiju Who Endures. It's a mono green land that can destroy an artifact or enchantment or non-basic land an opponent controls, and then they replace it with a basic land. Oh wait, no, not a basic land, but a land with a basic land type. So they can get a dual land or something like that. As long as it has a basic land type. So that's good for them. But you're destroying an artifact, enchantment, or problematic non-basic land. For the cost of 2 or 1 if you have your commander out. Breeding Pool, that's the shock land that has the... See, you could grab this with it. Shock, because shock is just what we call 2 damage. And if you don't want to get shocked, it comes to play tap. That's fine. I picked the Jurassic Park command tower to kind of go with the exploration theme of this deck. Dreaming Root Cascades, 2 more other lands. So it's good to draw late. It's not super helpful, but it's a tap land if it's your first or second turn, but after that it comes into play untapped. That's fine. Blooded Grove, by itself it's garbage, but as long as you have another land that can produce green or blue, it's fine. Then the Ixalan Full Art Forest. Surveil, that's where you look at the top card and you can either leave it there or put it in your graveyard. Comes into play tapped unless you control a forest or island. Ixalan Full Art Island. Path of Ancestry. A lot of the creatures that we're going to find are going to be merfolk. That's just what happened. Explorer's only been in one set, and most of the things, if not all, that explore are merfolk. Maybe there's some elves that'll make it into this deck, but it's going to be mostly merfolk. So we'll get to scry one. When that's the look at and either put it back on top or put it on the bottom. Rejuvenating Springs comes into play tapped unless you have 2 or more opponents. That's the commander format in a nutshell. They do not have... There's a half cycle of this, but without the basic land types. It doesn't come in enemy pairs, so that's an incomplete cycle. That's interesting to me. This one, you have to return a land to your hand, but that's fine because you can tap the land first. Snow covered because we're in green, and there, I don't know if you remember any of the other times we use green, but there's that card Into the North that pulls out snow lands. This is basically, I just called this fixed OG duels, like modern OG duels, because the OG duels come into play untapped, but they're lands with basic land types. You can pretend these are the OG duels for 35 cents. That's the way I would play them. Just let them come into play untapped. Temple of Mastery, you get to scry one again, but you don't have to cast a merfolk. Reveal a forest or island to get this into play untapped. The Verge, you get one type, and then if you have the land type of your deck, you get the other type. The Damaging One. And Yavimaya, Creative Growth. Here's another incomplete cycle. This only has the black and the green. There's another incomplete cycle, but I forget which one it was. They completed this one relatively quick. First half was in Duskmourn, second half was here in Aether Drift. What was the other one? Wasn't that. They finished that. Wasn't that. They have all 10 of those. They have all of those. I think they have all of those. Yeah, they have all of those because it's named after the guilds. That's the one. Oh, it's ones that aren't in this deck. The ones that if you have 2 more basic lands, that only has the allied pairs as well. That's 2 land cycles that they could finish, but they haven't. Kind of hoping they do. I've had a Guar song stuck in my head for the last few days. It's a good song. I like the song. It's Meat Sandwich. Go ahead and listen to it. If you haven't, sorry for the aside. It's just in my head. It is in my head. So let's look for cards. I was looking up to see if I wanted Cavern of Souls, but we really don't care if our stuff is countered. If I'm being honest, this is low power. They're probably not going to be countering all. Like, they're going to counter our commander and like maybe one other card that I can think of. So, explore. So, Merfolk Scout, 1 mana for a 1/1. Merfolk Scout. Cenote Scout. Shinote. There's someone who can pronounce, who knows how, like, indigenous South American languages are pronounced. Because that's probably what that is. When it enters the battlefield, it explores. So, boom. Deep Fathom Echo. 2, then a green and a blue for a 4/4 Merfolk Spirit. Sorry, still stuffy nosed. It's so hot. I mean, it's not hot, but it's just uncomfortably warm right now, even though it's like not even the middle of April yet. But I'm still all stuffy nosed. I'm just annoyed. Anyway, at the beginning of combat on your turn, Deep Fathom Echo explores. Then you may have it become a copy of another creature you control until end of turn. Oh, and this one has these two have the reminder text. See, you reveal the top card and put it in your hand if it's land, +1/+1 counter if it's not. Oh, and then you can put the card back or put it into its graveyard. So it's like, it is like Surveil with like bonuses on top. Since you have the option, since if it's a land, you put it in your hand, specifically not drawing. Or you can do the standard Surveil thing of put it back or put it in graveyard. So we want that. I mean, there's only 26 cards with Explore on it. So, thank you. Thank you, co-pilot. That was super necessary. Anyway, Emperor's Vanguard. Oh, look, not a merfolk. It's a human. 3 and a green for a 4/3 human scout. When it deals combat damage to a player, it explores. Sure. Don't know how often it'll actually get to explore. But there you go. Enter the Unknown. Target creature you control explores, and then you can play an additional land. That doesn't seem too neat, but it's only 1 mana, and we're not making the most powerful deck here. We just want all the Explore cards, and I'm just going over them, since I don't think I've ever looked at an Explore card on the show, because there's been no reason to. Glowcap Lantern. It is a 1 mana artifact. Equipped creature has, you may look at the top card of your library anytime. Oh, that's handy for Explore. And whenever this creature attacks, it explores. Okay, so you can kind of... You can't do anything with your top deck knowing information, but you'll know what you'll get before you attack. And it says attacks. It doesn't need to do damage. That's important. And it's a cheap equip cost. It doesn't boost its stats or anything, but, you know, it's at least in our wheelhouse. So here's the other guy that they're probably going to want to counter. Hackball of the... Pretty sure I can't be pronouncing that correct. Hackball of the Surging Soul. 2, a green and a blue for a 3/3 Merfolk Scout. At the beginning of combat on your turn, each merfolk creature you control explores. So, like, that is a ton of value with our commander. I don't know why I scrolled up expecting him to be here. Whenever Hackball of the Surging Soul attacks, you put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield if you don't draw a card. So that's more Simic nonsense. But something about exploration, like, takes away the sting of Simic nonsense. Ixali's Diviner, a human druid. 03, 1 in a green. When it enters, it explores. That's fine. So we got some humans and some merfolks hanging out together. Jadelight Ranger, 1 green for a 2/1 merfolk scout. All the merfolks are scouts so far, except for the spirit. So we have a bunch of scouts and a ghost. When Jadelight Ranger enters the battlefield, it explores. Then it explores again. Value. Jadelight Spelunker. X and green for a 1/1. When Jadelight Spelunker enters the battlefield, it explores X times. So it's going to either draw you a lot of lands, or come into play with a bunch of +1/+1 counters on it, or some combination thereof. It could also fill up your graveyard if that's the kind of thing you want to do, because your non-lands can go in the graveyard if you really don't want to draw them. I'm not a big reanimator guy, but that's something we could think about for this deck. Because I have been kind of like tiptoeing out of my comfort zone just a little bit. We have next Lodestone Needle, another artifact. What's funny is I went right into lands to this without going into my ramp package. We'll fix that. We'll do the ramp after this. It has flash, which means you can cast it at the speed of instant. When Lodestone Needle enters the battlefield, tap up to 1 target artifact or creature and put 2 stun counters on it. Okay. Stun counters means that it doesn't untap while it has stun counters on it. If it would untap, you remove a stun counter instead. Then we can craft it with an artifact by paying 2 and a blue. Exile this artifact. Exile another artifact you control or an artifact from your graveyard. Return this card... transformed under its owner's control. Craft only as a sorcery. So it can turn into Guidestone Compass. Pay 1 and tap it. Target creature you control explores. Activate only as a sorcery. So we can tap down something temporarily, and then later we can have it be an extra explore point. Merfolk Branchwalker. That's another thing. The Ixalan Merfolk aren't solely limited to being in water. They can come up on land. When Merfolk Branchwalker enters, it explores. So it's a 2/1 for 2. Merfolk Scout again. So we're fine with that. Notice these creatures typically aren't very big. So we're probably going to want to... Ooh, there's a cool one coming up. Merfolk Cave Diver, 2 and a blue for a 2/4. Merfolk Scout again. Whenever a creature you control explores, Merfolk Cave Diver gets +1/+1/0 and can't be blocked this turn. So the +1/+1 until end of turn. It doesn't explore itself, but you can get in for damage with it. So that's good. Over the Edge, 1 and a green for a sorcery. Choose 1. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Nice. Or target creature you control explores twice. Options. Pathfinding Axejaw. 3 and a green for a 4/3 dinosaur. Yay. We live for this. When Pathfinding Axejaw enters the battlefield, it also explores. Good boy. Or girl. Or whatever. Good dino. Path of Discovery. It is an enchantment. 3 and a green. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, it explores. That's neat. So you get extra explorations. Rival Herald Guide, 2 and a green for a 3/1. Guess what? Murphic Scout. It has Vigilance, so it doesn't tap when it attacks, and it also explores on entry. So, yay. What's nice is that, like, this is, we don't have to, sorry, again, just stuffy nose, is that all of these creatures are sort of card draw. Depending on how much we end up throwing in the bin, or how many lands are at the top of our library at any given time. 1 and a blue for a 1/2 Merfolk Scout. Enters, explores. That's what we want. Seeker of Sunlight. It doesn't explore on entry, but you can pay 2 and a green to explore as a sorcery. So sure, why not? And then we have Shadowed Caravel. It is a vehicle that whenever a creature you control explores, this thing gets a +1/+1 counter. So, you know, this thing can become big. It doesn't have any invasion, but, you know, that's still cool. Siren Lookout, a Siren Pirate that explores. 2 and a blue, 1/2 flying. Boy, we're kind of missing out on flying in this deck, so that's good. Subterranean Schooner. 1 and a blue, another vehicle. Whenever a Subterranean Schooner attacks, a creature that crewed it explores. That's neat. Tishana's Wayfinder. 2 and a green for a 2/2 Merfolk Scout. Everything in here is a Merfolk Scout except for the one spirit. That's so interesting. Enters the battlefield and explores. Topography Tracker. Merfolk Scout again. Same stats. Oh, and this one creates a map token. That's a preview to what we're going to search for after we get our ramp. You know, like we're supposed to. But it creates a map token. A map token is 1 tap, sacrifice, target creature explores. Activate as a sorcery. If a creature you control would explore, it explores twice. So that one that explores twice would actually explore 4 times if this comes out first. Because it explores, but instead of exploring, it explores and explores. Then it explores, but instead of exploring, it explores and then explores again. So that's a lot of exploring. It's not really draw, because if you have a non-land card you really want to draw at some future date, that's just going to sit on there, putting +1/+1 counters on stuff. But I still feel that's a win. Twists and Turns. It's an enchantment for 1. If a creature you control would explore, instead you scry 1, then explore. You know, so if you just don't want that thing to, if you really don't want to land into your hand, or if there's a card that you don't want on top, but you don't want it in your graveyard either, you can just put it at the bottom of your deck. And then when it comes into play, something explores. And then when a land enters the battlefield under control, if you have 7 or more lands, we transform it. What does it do on the other side? Oh, it turns into a land that taps for green. And then you can look at the top 4 cards of your library by paying a total of 5, because this is land itself. So it's 2 green and 3 other, if you're counting the tapping of this itself. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put that into your hand. The rest go on the bottom in random order. That's a sweet little payoff, depending on how much mana you have to work with. Oh, here's a different creature type. Wild Growth Walker. 1 and a green for a 1/3 elemental. Whenever a creature you control explores, this thing gets +1/+1 counter, and you gain 3 life. So that's cool. So let's look at that. 17 creatures already. 4 artifacts, 1 enchantment, 2 sorceries, 0 instants. We'll fix that. We want our Soul Ring, because you'll have to pry that from my cold dead hands. Arc Sig, because I have no shame in using a card I don't think should have ever been made. It exists, so I'm going to use it. That's my thinking. Then we want the Simic Signet. I think... Is it Progress? It is not Progress. Progress is white and blue. Talisman of Creativity? No, I feel like that's not right. Curiosity? Curiosity. There we go. Because creativity would be red-blue. So that's, let's go over here. Let's see what categories, what they think I'm doing. 14 draw. So they count all of that exploration as draw, and 6 pieces of ramp. Technically, we have 7 because our commander counts as ramp. We're going to keep it on type for now, because I want to make sure we get to 20-something creatures. What other pieces of ramp? Oh, Mind Stone. We also want Thought Vessel, because even though our commander is easy to cast, there might be times where we can't put those extra lands into play. I could have put a Reliquary Tower over here instead of something. How many merfolk do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We only have 13, but I still feel that it's good, because thinking about it, Path of Ancestry should go into all decks, even monocolor, because you get to scry 1 off of casting your commander. That's just a thought I just now had. It's like, it's a should, like, but you're probably not going to put it into every deck, but like, it's something that I feel is not a waste. Anyway, so map token. We probably need more ramp. I mean, having ramp in our command zone, like, probably should count for 2, I feel, but let's see. Let's see. Brackish Blunder. Return target creature to its owner's hand. If it was tapped, create a map token. We don't need that. Putting a T instead of a C at the front. Cartographer's Companion. It's 3 for a 2/1 gnome. When it enters the battlefield, you create a map token. Not sure how much I care about that. Sentinel of the Nameless City, Merfolk Warrior Scout. When it enters Aura, it's a 3. It's 2 and a green for a 3/4 Merfolk Warrior Scout with Vigilance. That is a lot of stats. Tell you what. And that's also another Merfolk for us. But when it enters or attacks, you get a map token. Map tokens, of course, are explore with an extra mana cost. Spyglass Siren, a 1/1 flyer that gives us a map token. Stormfleet Negotiator. I was thinking that was going to be Navigator since it's a Siren Pirate, but it's a Negotiator. 2 and a blue for a 2/2 with flying. With Parlay. Parlay, I don't think I've seen on this series at all. Whenever Stormfleet Negotiator attacks, and this is the Parlay part, each player reveals the top card of their library. For each non-land card revealed this way, you create a map token, then each player draws a card. Sure. Because we can make up to 4 map tokens with that. Waterwind Scout. It's basically the same thing, but it just makes the 1 map token on entry because it's 2/2 flying for 3. But it's a Merfolk Scout. So that's like 15 Merfolks in this deck. World Walker Helm. 2 and a blue for an artifact. If you would create 1 or more artifact tokens and instead create those tokens plus an additional map token. And then you can tap 2 and tap it to create a token that's a copy of another artifact token you control. That seems neat. Doing the stuff. So we are at 21 creatures. We are at all of the creatures that I would ever want. I think maybe we'll even put in this bad creature. We'll put in that gnome. Why not? We have like 15 total merfolk. Let's see. Okay, so, our other ramp is going to be in the form of the spells that I haven't put in this deck yet. So we want 3 visits. We want Nat Lore. Rampant. Growth. Into the north, otherwise having all of those snowlands is a complete waste of time. Now we're going to go by categories again because I forgot what I just put in the deck. Into the north, Nature's Lore, Rampant Growth, 3 visits. Oh, there is one more. Farseek, right? Because then it would be 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because that would be all 5, right? Yeah, Farseek. We have the 1 for basics, the 1 for snow, the 2 for forests, and then the 1 for not forests. There we go. They're calling this one a ramp when every single other one has been called card draw. So we're just gonna move that over there to be consistent. Let's see, and then we want hardened scales. Since we're doing these things with +1/+1 counters over here, we want more +1/+1 counters. So also okay, that was weird. This is okay. This is where we got to do this. I love the way Architect works or looks, but I don't like the way it looks or works. There we go. Anyone else have these problems? There we go. Branching evolution. We want that. That's additional +1/+1 counters. If 1 or more +1. Let's see if that finds everything. So we got got these. Kami Whispered Hopes does that. This one does it for itself. Ozolith the Shattered Spire will also do it. It's interesting that Ozolith will put it on creatures or artifacts. Primal Vigor is interesting, but we're not going to use it because it's symmetrical, I guess. It will give us additional map tokens as well. And then there's also Doubling Season, but I don't think we're going to do the 5 mana one, because that's what also Doubling Season is. We're going to leave those out. Benevolent Hydra is, this creature enters with a +1/+1 counter on it. If one or more +1/+... Dang it. If one or more +1/+1 counters would be put on another creature you control, that many +1/+1 counters are put on it instead. And then you can remove a +1/+1 counter from it to put a +1/+1 counter on another thing. I don't think we need that. In fact, this is already like more creatures than we need. Actually, we could probably put in more creatures. We'll put on the Benevolent Hydra. I really like this art, by the way. There we go with that. Let's go Beast Within so we can actually take care of stuff. I like how this doesn't get put in our card draw even though it's exploring. You know what? We're going to do our own we're going to call this Cartographers because they make maps. Except this one. This one goes back to Evasion. And then there. So now we have our Cartographers because they make map tokens, and our Explorer Core because they explore. They're calling this ramp, but I'm going to put that in a different section. I'm going to put this in the counters section. There we go. So +1/+1 counters, +1/+1 counters, +1/+1 counters. This thing gets +1/+1 counters, but I kind of want to put it in an Explorer Corpse. And then this makes... This one goes into both, but it itself is a Cartographer. So that's how I'm going to do that. I guess this one can go into Explorer. Like, it's more of an Explore payoff than a... Like, these two are more Explore payoffs, but I think I'm just going to group them in there. Lodestone Needle. Oh, it's like a reusable map. Duh, that makes sense. That's going to go over here in the Explorer Core. You explore. You explore. You explore. You explore. Explore. That creates maps, so you're a Cartographer. Explore. 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 I'm going to say that word a lot. It explores. Also explores. Explores. And explores. Could have swore there was more things that made maps. Hold on. I'm just going to go in here. Nope. Oh, I didn't. 1, 2, 3, 4 thing. 4, 5, 6. So wherever the World Waker Helm is, yeah, there's a couple more things that should be moved. Let me guess. There's a token. Yep, there we go. Cartography. 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 And cartography. There we go. I can see putting that in the removal section. There we go. Okay, we fixed our things. Oh, we want OG Ozolith to collect the +1/+1 counters off of our creatures when they inevitably go to the graveyard. I like this. The Ozolith puts extra counters on the Ozolith. But these other ones care specifically about creatures getting them. Oh, this says permanent. Yep. Oh, you are actually an explorer. Sort of. Although I guess I should have exploration payoff as its own section, but let's not do that. Our removal is weak. That's because green is weak at removal, I feel. Like, we have fight and remove artifacts and enchantments. But I'm going to put in mana draining counterspell. Even though my group, these would be kind of no-no cards. I am thinking of allowing mana draining counterspells. Like, you get 2 counters in your whole deck and you get the good ones. Or you get the best one and the second best one. That's just my opinion on the matter. But let's also Pongify. Whoops, I hit caps lock. Rapid hybridization. Aetherize. Aether Spout. And Reality Shift. That's still anemic as far as removal goes. But where are we? We're only at 7 cards left, and then we can go to the other deck. I'm going to select all over here. And... oh wait, no, there's a better way to do that. Unselect. But I'll wait until we're done. 7 more, huh? And then we go back to type, and we have 24 creatures. That's good. Not the best, but good. Categories. So much pseudo card draw. So much pseudo card draw and pseudo ramp at the same time. I guess like the last 7 could be more pieces of removal, try to be competitive. Or stuff for scrying. You know what? I am interested to see what they think. What other people think. Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, Roaming Throne. Swiftfoot Boots, Lightning Greaves. That is slow. Bident of Thassa is interesting. Panharmonicon. Yes, I just realized that that's really good for this deck. Thank you. What are we at? We're at 97. That's called Blink. Let's put that into copy. Oh, and MITHR. Mithril Coat. I always like putting a jacket on my commanders. See, I'm glad I looked. I totally forgot to give them shoes or a jacket. And that's a 25th creature. But that means all my merfolks or scouts, if it turns out that scout is for somehow a better option than saying merfolk. Actually, probably not. I don't think any of the humans were... The human was a scout. Because the sirens are all pirates. Oh, no, there's one... So there's one human scout. So we'd leave out one merfolk, but we'd... But that merfolk... I think that merfolk has a better... Yeah, that's a better triggered ability. So we definitely just still say merfolk. King of the Explorers. Okay, now what kind of enchantments? Whenever you cast a merfolk spell, there ain't that many merfolks, my dude. Simic Ascendancy, if we wanted the, alternate win condition. Spelunking. I'll let you decide if you want to put that in your version. Whenever a creature you control with a +1/+1 counter deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. There's another... I could have swore there's another card like this. Untap all merfolk you control. I'm not sure 15 merfolk. Exploration doesn't seem bad. Additional land on our turns for when we don't have our commander out. What kind of instants and sorceries? Growth Spiral. You know, the Simic card. There's also Heroic Intervention just to protect all of our stuff from a board wipe. But, like, I feel like I would just let the board wipe happen and then just try to rebuild and not worry about it. Sorcery. Fangs of Colonia is interesting. Different overrun effects. I see what they're going for there. Any additional creatures? Yep. Tatovia Benthic Druid. Whenever a land you control enters, we're not putting anything that says landfall in it. Oh, yes. Herald of Secret Streams. There we go. Creatures you control with a +1/+1 counter on them can't be blocked. There's our win con. We're not leaning into merfolks, though. There's a lot of... Oh, that's interesting. We're not going to lean into the merfolks, even though it's totally a merfolk deck. Just kind of... Okay, so what does that put us at? We're at 99. Yeah, no, that actually goes in evasion. maybe one more piece of removal if I can think of one I'd actually want to put in. Like, what's funny is I actually didn't really see any in, except for this. Bounce, create a map token. I'm not into that. Let me look at a card really quick. We're not actually creating that many map tokens. Or any kind of tokens, are we? Maybe that's something that creates multiples. That can create multiple. Okay, now we're gonna rack our brain for another thing where something else that at least makes a token on its own. Create token, not an instant, not a sorcery. Let's see what we can get. Academy Manufactor, yeah. Of course. That just creates extras. That creates a creature. Whenever an opponent casts an instant or sorcery spell, you get a spider. I always like this card. It's zero flavor in this deck, but I just like this. Oh, you cast any instant or sorcery? Well, give me a spider. I get a spider. And the spiders have reach, so they can at least chump block flyers. There we go. That's our 100th. That's just how we do it sometimes. Okay, so we go to export deck. We do not want all cards. We just want categories. We just want one category. We want land. And then we copy. And then we close this. Let's give this thing, let's call it Simic Explorers. What's the win con? Step 1, explore. Step 2, draw extra cards, play extra lands, or put +1 counters on stuff, on dudes. Step 3, big damage. Yep. Save changes. So now we go into our other deck. Let's import the lands before we meet our commander. This one might be a mild challenge. Oh, we got plenty of time. That took less than an hour. So we have over here Doc Aurlock, Grizzled Genius. 1 green, 1 blue for a 2/3 Bear Druid. Spells you cast from your graveyard or exile cost 2 less to cast. Okay. Plotting cards from your hand cost 2 less. Plot is a thing where you can set it aside face up and cast it for free on a later turn. What kind of fancy versions can we throw him in? Nope, he doesn't have a fancy version because he's only an uncommon. How unfortunate for him. So let's get our meat and potatoes first. I guess we're not getting our meat and potatoes, are we? What is this? What do you call ramp? Like, this is our vegetables. Sort of. I guess this is getting all of our plates or something. I don't know. Man, I closed that deck. History. Evasion. Copy card names. Yeah, let's just save us some time. So we want those 3 cards. We want everything here except for Enter the Unknown. So let's copy card names. Control V again. And then up here, get rid of that. We want everything that's in our removal section except for Over the Edge. Copy card names. Control V. What else do we want? Well, everything else is specifically this deck. The copy, the counters, the evasion, the explorers. Oh, we also want her, but we can just... Sad that she's just all down here by herself. Anyway. Yep, there we go. There. Now we have categories. Now we have our limited protection. 11 pieces of ramp. 8 pieces of removal. And now we can get into the meat of the deck. So, any cards... Oh, this was me looking to see what kind of Simic commanders I wanted to try to build for this week. And the bear and the merfolk won. We might see some of these other ones at some later date. Oh, plot. Let's see what kind of cards with plot might actually be good. Allo Alchemist. When it becomes plotted, target creature gets +3/+2 and gains trample until end of turn. So it's not even a combat trick because plotting is just sorcery. Beast Bond Outcaster. When Beast Bond Outcaster enters the battlefield, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, you draw a card. So you pay 2 to get a 3/3 on curve. Plot 3. So you can pay 4 to get this thing a turn early. Fibblethip plots from the top of your deck, so it doesn't really have synergy with this deck. Jace here plots stuff for free. Free Strider enters as a 5/5 if you plot it beforehand. Loan Shark Draws you a card if it's at least your second spell per turn. Yeah, plot isn't all that great, is it? Just looking at this so far. Draw a card, then draw a card for each other instant and sorcery you've cast this turn. Make your own luck. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may exile a non-land card from among them. If you do, it becomes plotted. Put the rest in your hand. And that costs 5. Oh, this doesn't even plot itself. Raise the Varmints, where you get Varmint creature tokens depending on the number of creatures in your graveyard. Railway Brawler. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, it gets X +1/+1 counters, where X is equal to its power. And then you can plot it a turn early. Okay, so this is like the one good plot card we've seen so far. Plan the heist, surveil 3. If you have no cards in hand, then draw 3 cards. And you can plot it. Outlaw Stitcher. When it enters the battlefield, you get a 2/2 blue-black zombie rogue. And then it gets exponential. Well, not exponentially. It gets 2 +1/+1 counters biggers for each spell that's cast before it. This is kind of good if we're just throwing a lot of stuff in just to have a big turn. We might come back to plot later, but I just don't like any of these cards. Except for this one. When Outcaster Trailblazer enters the battlefield, add 1 mana of any color. Okay. When another creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card, and then you can plot it. If we're casting big stuff, this thing gets bigger at least. I'm sorry. If we're casting other stuff that's big, we get to draw cards. Slick Shot Lockpicker. When Slick Shot Lockpicker enters the battlefield, target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback, which means you can cast it from your discard pile, and then it gets exiled. Don't care. This one gains us 3 life. Each player shuffles their hand and graveyard into their library. Oh, wait. May. Oh, so this is a Time Twister, but optional. But you can plot it for 6. I do like this. Although, see, the thing is that this is definitely a low power card because you have to pay 6. I don't know. I don't know. Then you get an elemental equal to the biggest creature you already have. This enters as a copy of a creature you control, except it's a shapeshifter rogue in addition to whatever else it is. This is 20 plot cards. We might come back to this, because we do get to plot stuff for cheaper. So, like, we could plot more stuff. You know, let's put... Whoops. We can at least set up a big attack. Because we can always take stuff back out later. We're not playing Jason. We're not playing Fibblethip. We're not making our own luck. We'll do that. Because, like, if we're setting up big turns, it's like, yeah, we're just leaving all this plotted stuff off to the side. If we have no cards in hand, sure, why not? I mean, we can just hold on to that until way later in the game when we have stuff in our graveyard. Although 2/1 varmints don't seem too interesting. Sure, sure, sure. Because the plot is at least cheaper. Sure. Sure, we can flash. We're not doing a whole lot else with our graveyard, so we may as well flash back. I don't like exiling my own stuff, but if it's just sitting in the graveyard with no way to get out. So now we want Foretell. It has 2 L's, but I was actually worried that it didn't have an E there. We're not taking extra turns. Because I feel extra turns are rude. That's just what it is. This would only cost 1 blue after foretelling it. Whenever a permanent you control becomes a target of spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. Oh, see, this becomes 2 green, so that's good. This makes foretelling an instant, because foretelling is normally also a sorcery. Although it's not sorcery speed. I think it's instant speed, but only your turn. That's kind of weird. But this makes foretelling cheaper. We'll throw in this. This is not going to be a very good deck. Scry 2, draw 2 cards. You know what? Return target permanent to its owner's hand. Okay, this one we're leaving alone. Green Slime. When green slime enters the battlefield, counter target activated or triggered ability. We're not doing root stuff. Add blue only to foretell. I don't think we need that. We're not going to do mammoth growth either. Mystic reflection messes with stuff that we're not going to bother with. That's free foretell. We're not bothering with that either. Saw it coming. Serves Packmate. Draws us a card at least. Oh, spells you cast from anywhere other than your hand cost 2 less to cast. Yep. Exile target artifact or creature. Its controller gets a bird. You know what? Since we're doing this, we'll Raven form. Spectral Deluge. Return each creature your opponent controls with toughness X or less to its owner's hand, where the X is the number of islands you control. Well, that's neat. And we can also foretell it. Struggle for Skemfar. You put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control, and then it fights. Surge of Brilliance. Paradox. Draw a card for each spell you've cast this turn from anywhere other than your hand. That is a phrase we're going to look for next, for the record. So, sure. Tales of the Ancestors. Each player with fewer cards in hand than the player with the most cards in hand draws cards equal to the difference. Sure. The Foretold Soldier, another Doctor Who card. Must be blocked if able. Can't be blocked by more than one creature. If it deals damage, it gets exiled face down and becomes Foretold. Sure, that's fun. Anywhere other than your hand. We're probably going to have to par this down and like take out a bunch of garbage, but as long as you cast a spell this turn, you may play cards from the top of your library. Spells you cast anywhere from other than your hand would cost 3 less to cast. Sure. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, create a food token. Sure. We'll come back to that. We get 2 of these. Oh, she investigates. And then this creates an otter, and then if we cast it from anywhere other than our hand, oh, that thing that flashbacks, that makes a thing flashback. Flashbacks were cheaper with our commander out. But and then if it's cast from anywhere other than our hand, it gets +1/+1 counter. We're not doing this. This is just pointless. Sisterhood of Karn, 13th Doctor. I mean, this is at least good cards. Good card alert. In fact, 13th Doctor with the Doctor's Companion would probably just be a better deck than this. But I'll probably go over the Doctor Who stuff in the future because I actually do like a lot of the stuff that was done in it. See the truth. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put one of those cards in your hand and the rest in the bottom of your library in any order. If this spell was cast anywhere other than your hand, put all those in your hand instead. And we're not doing that. Savvy Trader enters the battlefield. Exile a target permanent card from your graveyard. You may play that card for as long as it remains exiled. Spells you cast from anywhere other than your hand are 1 less to cast. Okay. So we have a bunch of garbage. And we're still only at 93 cards. This deck is absolute rat butt. But we have 12 pieces of card draw apparently. 11 pieces of removal. 1 piece of recursion. Well, you know what? For the last 7, we'll do the same thing we normally do. Though this one was easy to finish, so we might see another deck today. Card search. Go to good old EDH Rec. First, we go to types. We have 22 creatures. That's decent. It all really depends on what you're doing and how you're winning, I suppose. But let's see what kind of artifacts. Like maybe Oh, Conduit of Worlds, because we can cast stuff from our graveyard. Thank you very much. Oh, Adventures! Adventures, thank you. Thank you, Lucky Clover, for reminding me that those exist. Oh, and then we can also try to exile stuff from the top of our library. Oracle's Vault is kind of expensive. We are playing green. I do like that. But thank you, Lucky Clover. We're not putting you in the deck because we're not... we're not doing Ubamass. That just sounds complicated. What does this Sword of Swords do? Deals damage to the player. You get the top 2 cards of your library. Additional land, and you can play those cards this turn. Yeah, we're not... what kind of creatures? That doesn't really go in this deck. Cast spells from your graveyard. Spells can't be countered. Instants and sorceries has flashback. You can, this thing's... Oh, yeah, Grolnock the Omnivore. I see that. Whenever a frog you can quote attacks, you mill 3 cards. Whenever a permanent card is put into your graveyard from your library. Okay, yeah, no. We're not doing it, but I can see it. Whenever Durnan attacks, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may exile a creature from among them. Put the rest at the bottom of your library in any order. For as long as that card remains exiled, you may cast it. It has Undaunted, which means it costs less for each opponent. Okay, sure. Ramp creature. Whenever 6 is... we're not self-milling. We're not... that's not what we're leaning into. Whenever this creature attacks, it gets flashback until end of turn. Okay. Snapcaster Mage. Okay. Although a lot of the things that I would flash back, hold on, let's are already cheap. I'm just kind of, I need to set this back to types. There we go. Instant. Oh, no, I guess I could Snapcaster Mage to get Aether Spouts a second time, or Behold the Multiverse, or Aether Eyes, Beast Within. Okay. I was worried too many of them. Okay. I guess I was only really worried about these 4 exact cards over here that had no colorless pips. Go back into card search. Sure, Snapcaster Mage. Oh, Escape is another thing, yeah. We're not doing adventures. Oh, hey, look, there's Uro. Ah, Sakura Tribe Elder, a creature that grabs basic lands if we thought we needed another thing. Enchantments, Secrets of the Dead. Whenever you cast the spell from your graveyard, draw a card. We're not doing that often enough. Game Changer, so we're just gonna... Huh. Extraordinary Journeys, interesting, but we're not putting in it. We just need 3 more cards. What's funny is I remembered Adventures exist, and yet I did not immediately go looking for them. Saw it coming, Growth Spiral, Think Twice, Chemister's Insight, Moment's Peace, Breakdown. Go ahead and give it to me. Oh, we get a junk token. Oh, junk tokens are interesting. You sacrifice it to exile the top card of your library, and you can play that card this turn. That's neat. Spring to Mind. Frantic Search. Draw 2 cards. Discard 2 cards. Untap 3 lands. People say this card's good. I'm just not a fan of discarding my own stuff. Let's look at sorceries. Cultivate, Make Your Own Luck Again, Croaking Counterpart, Kodama's Reach, Alwyn's Epiphany. Oh, Spring into Action is both a sorcery and an instant, or Spring to Mind. Mass Diminish, Increasing Savagery, Dry Survival, Deep Analysis, Spinning Image, Echo Vions. I am going to look for the best 3 adventure cards in all of Magic the Gathering. Yes, best 3. I don't hate this deck, but I don't like it, and I just realized another card type. Because like we're saving up cards. So like this, if we can just bank all of these stupid cards and not get murdered for not having a board presence, then we could have this big progenitor ooze is kind of a finisher thing going. Just kind of silently reading all of these. Oh, excuse me. Because the thing about adventures is that you cast this part, and then and then the whole thing goes into exile. We'll do Chatterstorm because it amuses me. But so we might not get any adventure cards because not a whole lot of them are that good. Gravestorm. It's copied for each permanent put into the graveyard from the battlefield this turn. That is interesting. We could also do Hunting Pack, but I like the other two better. Because one is cheap, and one is funny. Free creatures. Oh, there's Mind's Desire. It's not really a finisher, though, if the rest of the deck is rat garbage. Shuffle. Because the thing is like the way that we're storming, there's probably not a lot that's going to be left in the deck worth playing. Do. We only have room for like one more card. Temporal Fissure could open up open things up for us to attack our enemies. Weather the storm. Gain 3 life. Storm. I'm not winning, but you ain't making me lose. I just thought of... Actually, I kind of know what I want to put in this deck, but it's kind of admitting defeat. Wingstorm is interesting. Deals X damage to each player, where X is twice the number of creatures with flying that they control. Hoisted by Jerome Petard. Do we want to Temporal Fissure to return stuff to their owner's hand to make our attacks better? Do we want to Mind's Desire to get a bunch of garbage spells for free? We could put in... Yeah, let's Mind's Desire and pretend... Unless that turns out to be a game changer and I forgot about it. Nope. So, yep, that's 100 garbage cards. I still like it because even though it's green-blue, it's not putting a whole lot of extra lands into play. Not drawing a whole lot of extra cards, I guess. Even though it has 15 guard draw spells. So it says. I don't know how many creatures with power 4 or greater we have for that other effect. looking at the time. Oh, we got like another half hour. Whoops, that is not where I meant to go. Ah, that's the description. Ah. Name this deck Foretell a Plot. That's capital the P on plot. That's a good one. There. That's the best they're going to get out of this. So let's close this. These two go into past episodes. Let's peek behind the curtain. There's sort by name. There we go. Next week, there's Rakdos preview, if you can tell what those are. Just to make sure I put the correct two things in here. Simic Explorers and Foretell a Plot. Okay, cool. Parent folder. Post. Like, this is my future content. See, I plan on doing Who decks, Vehicle decks, Typal decks, the Transformers cards, Street Fighter. But let's see if I have any. Oh, nope, I just had this deck again. Well, we don't need that version. Let's just delete the deck. Delete. So, let's do this. We're opening it in a new tab. We're just going to throw that here. New deck. Folder. Nope, past episodes, because it's going to go right there directly. Simic deck 3. That's, since we don't know what we're doing yet. Color equals UG. T creature. T legend. Order CMC. So let's see what kind of things. Okay, so we have Tamio, who's blue on the front, but a Planeswalker on the back. Return instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. If it's a green, add 1 mana of any color. That's mildly interesting. Draw cards equal to half the number of cards in your library rounded up. Wow. No maximum hand size. That's mildly interesting. But on the front, when it attacks, you investigate, and she's a 0/3. When you draw your third card in a turn, that's when she transforms. That's mildly interesting. I'll give it that. We're ignoring this Scrying Elf because that's actually a Bant deck. Green, blue, and white. I just did that one. Well, hey, look. 2 mana for an 0/4 where you can pay 4 to draw a card and put a land on your hand into the battlefield. Ivy sort of deserves her own episode because there's like 2 ways to play her, either with a bunch of auras or with the mutate cards, or I guess a mixture of both. If by the time I get to as far as I feel like looking, we'll probably come back and do this deck. Kennen is a game changer all by himself, so automatically makes your deck a bracket 3, because he's kind of a CDH, so like people build in bracket 5. Like, so I could build an intentionally bad one, but I'm not going to. We can do Simic Dragons. This guy steals stuff, so we're not doing that. We did that one already. Simic stuff. I mean, this one, make this thing bigger. I don't know why I said Simic stuff. It doesn't make sense. Oh, I should have left one of those decks open to grab their ramp. Hold on. History. There we go. That way we can grab the ramp. Although actually the other one probably has... There. Yeah, because we got the protection, the removal. We just have to get rid of 2 of the cards in that. The land, of course. And the ramp section. Yeah, we just have to get rid of a few cards out of all of that. Okay, anyway, back over here. The Worry Wart is this weird frog tribal thing going on. Zimone. Oh, the reason why I'm angry at Strixhaven, because she says Quandrix Prodigy, but this says Simic, generic Simic nonsense. Put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped, or draw a card. If you control 8 or more lands, you draw 2 instead. She's messing with fractals, and yet they have her drawing extra cards and putting extra lands into play. This is upsetting. Verazol Split Current cares about spells with kicker, which is just an extra cost you can add on to spells to get more stuff. Thrasios has partner. You'll see him later, probably. Goose Mother is X for X +1/+1 counters plus food. Plus, when she attacks, you can sacrifice a food to draw a card. So this is 2/3 of Simic, +1/+1 counters, and food, and draw cards. I think I actually like the Goose. Yeah, let's go with the Goose. Set the Goose as our commander. So then we go up here. Oh, food. The Academy Manufacturer gets us a clue and a food when we make, or a clue and a treasure when we make food, so that's good. Baker's Bane Duo, nope, that's enters or leaves if we get a food. Enters, we get 2. But we can sacrifice a food to mill. We're not doing that. Nope. Create a food. If you sacrifice the turn food. Oh, if we sacrifice the food, we get to search our deck for a basic land. That's fine. This boar makes food when it damages. Cash grab, mills, we don't want to do that. If we cast both a creature and non-creature spell, we get a food, a clue, and a treasure. That's very specific double spelling. Devours food 3, that's hilarious. Feasting Troll King can return from the library to the battlefield if we sacrifice foods. Has vigilance and trample. That might be a good top end, like, awesome. So we go back up here. Okay. We do this. We do this. Oh, food. There we go. I was going to be worried that my internet went out again or something. Feasting Troll King. Yeah, you can go in. Fell the Pheasant. Fierce Witch Stalker. Creates food. Gilded Goose. Turns food into mana. Generous Int. Nope. Okay, I was thinking that was something else. Galadriel the Gift Giver. Enters the battlefield or attacks. You can get a +1/+1 counter of food or a treasure. That's cool. Galadriel, you're cool. Gingerbread Cabin gets us a food if we have 3 other forests in play, so we're not messing with that. Gorman's Talent. During your turn, artifacts you control are foods in addition to their other types. Okay. Whenever you gain life for the first time each turn, you get a raccoon. That's neat. Whenever you gain life for the first time, okay, you know what? We'll work with that. Graham O'Brien, our friend again, but we're not going to be casting a whole lot of spells from not our hand. Creates food, but also you can sacrifice food to make it bigger, but only once. If that was, like, if this thing could just chow down and just get super borf. When Horned Dray Leader enters, put a +1/+1 counter on it for each squirrel or food. Or others. Okay, you know what? That Squirrel Warrior can go in this deck. Many Partings. You search your deck for a basic land, create a food. Madame Vastra is getting her own deck during the Doctor Who portion of my career. When Killer Service enters the battlefield, create a number of food tokens equal to the number of opponents you have, so up to 3. And then you can turn food into rhinos. I like you. Sure, why not? Make things block it. Get food when halflings attack. Motivated Pony. When a motivated pony attacks, attacking creatures get +1/+1 a turn till end of turn. If a food entered the battlefield under your control, untap those creatures and they get an additional +2/+2. That's interesting. I don't think we're going to do that, but that's interesting. You can sacrifice food to make this bigger, but it doesn't have any sort of evasion. Creates a food. Oh, foods are now mana rocks. And then you can also get an overrun effect, although it doesn't give them trample, but still, I like that. Create a food, sacrifice 2 food, get a treasure. Sure, we'll get this Vindic. Oh, here's Oko, Thief of Crowns. A card that got banned. Look, 3 mana mythic in Simic. It creates food, and then target artifact or creature loses all abilities and becomes an elk. And then you can exchange control of target artifact or creature you control and target creature an opponent controls with power 3 or less. Do you see the problem here? You can +2 to create a food, which is an artifact. And then on your next turn, you can -5 and still have 1 left over to give them the food in exchange of one of their cheap creatures. It's ridiculous. Creates 2. Oh, Peregrine gets you extra food when you make tokens. Enters. Oh, when it attacks, you can sacrifice the food to get everything +1/+1 and trample. The +1/+1 is less important than the giving everything trample, so we'll do that. Cast big spell, make food. Spider food. Oh, that's interesting. Stew the conies, sugarcoat. Survival's Medical Kit, the 11th Hour, Underworld Cookbook. The third Doctor makes he has trample and he gets bigger for non-creature tokens he controls. And then when he enters, he makes one of the things. Less important. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. Once during your turn, you may play a historic land or cast a historic spell from the top of your library. If you do, you get a food. That's not going to happen a lot here. We're not doing landfall. Tough Cookie is a food. You can turn your food into additional 4/4. Bigger than Tough Cookie. Trail of Crumbs. Whenever you sacrifice food, you may pay 1. If you do, you look at the top 2 cards of your library. You may reveal a permanent card from among them and put them into your hand. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in any order. That could be good. I mean, you could also accidentally tuck away your instants and sorceries, but create your choice of a blood, clue, or food to sacrifice 3 artifacts with different names. Search your library for an artifact card, put it in the battlefield. I don't think we're going to have a whole lot of artifacts in this deck. Turn into a pumpkin. Wolf's Quarry makes a bunch of boars that turn into food when they die. Witch's Oven, you can sacrifice creatures to make food. Sacrifice food to make it bigger, but it doesn't really do, it doesn't have any form of evasion. So we do that. So that's as far as I got there. But we're going to go over here. We're going to go to Expert. We're going to do this. Then we just want specific categories. So we want lands, and we can do more than one. Look at that. We want the 3 cards under protection, and we want the cards under removal. Maybe the cards under tokens, who knows? Get rid of that. But now we copy, go over here, we import, we do this, save changes, because it gets the doing it that way gets the versions that we want, and that's always nice. Now we're up to 66. Gains trample. It has trample, that's important. Oh yeah, Peregrine Cook, we can also sacrifice 3 foods to draw a card. And since we are making tokens, we want Parallel Lives. Doubles our making of tokens. This is also actually a good doubling season deck. So we go down to doubling season. I guess he creates 3 foods as well. If an effect would create 1 or more tokens under our control, we get twice, so we get double. And then if an effect would put 1 or more counters on a permanent we control, it creates twice. It does twice. Sure, it has the negative of if our opponents are putting bad versions of those things on our stuff, we get twice. But that's the risk that we're on. Oh, let's clear out that, and this, and that. Oh, we have none of our ramp. Wait, that's the section I forgot, the ramp section. So let's reopen for teleplot. And Copy card names because we don't need the specific styles. Go back up here, import some cards. I don't do 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's still 11. So we're still at 15 pieces of ramp. Even though some of these sort of don't. Oh, there's another. Okay, so there's another card I know that I want to put in here now. What are we at? We at 76? Oh. Tokens you. I'm surprised this is taking so long because there shouldn't be that many cards that do this. There we go. Creature tokens you control have flying. That's not relevant here. Huh. Cloakwood Swarmkeeper. It doesn't have any form of evasion, but that's still interesting. Draw cards that equal number of different named creature tokens. Yeah, see, creature token, zombie tokens. That's who I was looking for. Tokens you control are now mana rocks. That only cares about creature tokens. That cares about differently named ones. That creates a bunch of tokens. Yep, okay. So that was definitely that card. We're at 77. So these are some cards that only really affect our commander, and I realized that I should open back up Simic Explorers for these specific cards. Copy card names. You know, these specific ones. It only affects our commander, so we can do this. Since we plan on putting a bunch of them in at once. I want, you know what, that Guar song still stuck in my head, so meat, sandwich, you should bite. There. It has very little to do with anything. Make food. Get big. Get big, spell words correctly. Draw cards. Win? Who knows? Don't care. If you draw, studies show that if you draw enough cards, you don't care if you win or not. You just kind of love looking at the cards that are in your deck because we're all very weird. Revolution. Yep. Okay, so we are now we're at 83, and we're still at 10 minutes under 2 hours. Oh, that other one always ends up in ramp. So, but I want it up here in counters, because that's what it feels like for me. Our card draw section is absolutely anemic. Our removal is still bad. That song is still distracting me in my own head. Let's see. Oh, if one or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many are created instead, sir. Ejsing Fractal Bloom, the first time you create one or more tokens. Choose a creature other than Ejsing Fractal Bloom and create that many tokens that are copies of that creature. Oh, the first time you create one or more tokens, oh, you can copy a creature instead. That's interesting. And then we could do Primal Victor as well. Like, if we're just, we didn't lean on it for that other deck, but we can lean on it for this nonsense. The first time you'd create one or more tokens during each of your turns. I just like the possibilities of that, even though it's feels very magical Christmas land. How many creatures do we have? That's always my first concern. We are at 14 creatures. That is not enough creatures. I'm going to look at EDA Trek for creatures. Did this... Whoops, sorry. Did this remind me of anything? Not really. Okay, so creatures. What creatures do you think I should put? Timeless Provisioner for the landfall. I understand. Hydroid Krasis. Oh, yeah, actually. It enters with X counters on it. And then you gain half X life and draw half X cards, round down each time. And it also has flying and trample, so that's good. Oh, this can... As long as you control 4 more artifacts, it has hexproof, and then you can tap 2 on tap to artifacts to draw cards, so that's more card draw. Other artifact creatures you control have flying. When Cyberdrive Awakener enters the battlefield, until end of turn, each non-creature artifact you control becomes an artifact creature with base... So, okay, so this is kind of a finisher that turns any existing food into 4/4 creatures. I like that. Whenever token you control enters, you can stun without the counter a creature opponent controls. Kappa Cannoneer. Whenever Kappa Cannoneer or another artifact enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1. Huh. Oh, so this thing comes in as a 5/5. That's interesting, with Ward 4. And then your artifacts can help. Oh, improvise is actually good. It's a good thing to think about. So yeah, and can't be blocked. That's important. Urza High Artificer is a game changer for a good reason. Not going in this deck. Sir Ginger gets bigger when we sacrifice our foods, and we can scry. So I like her. The Gutsy and Explorer. Oh, add. So they are a mana dork for X spells. Double the number of each kind of counter on target artifact, creature, or land. I can see that being good. I actually looked at that for the Explore deck, but I didn't. I didn't want to put it in there. Basic Lancing Control. Have add that, and then only for X spells. Okay. Oh, Gold Vein dies into treasures. I like that. Gargos, Vicious Watcher. Hydra spells cost 4 less to cast. Whenever a creature you control becomes target of a spell, Gargos fights up to one target creature you don't control. I haven't used that in a while. I do have like 2 Hydras in this deck. We're not doing Hydra Tribal, but oh, we have another Hydra. Oh, and this thing, okay. Doubles. So it looks like we're going to be putting some Hydras in this deck. Oh, +1/+1 counters can't be blocked. That's a good idea, of course. Oh, this thing can destroy artifacts or enchantments. Mana Gorder gets bigger. Oh, affinity for artifacts. When it enters, draw 2 cards, and it's also a 2/2 flyer. We're not doing landfall. A historic permanent enters the battlefield under control, becomes a 7/7 dinosaur. So, you know, our foods are now dinosaurs because artifacts are historic. All food is historic. 3 more artifacts. Whenever a player casts a spell, this thing gets a counter, and then can move those counters. Actually, I do like that. Get 2 foods. We don't like milling. Don't like that. There's a different Hydra that I would be willing to put in here. We're not putting in the ramp creatures, or aka mana dorks. I like this Sekiro Tribe Elder. I like all the stuff that he's like, you know, his clothes. Okay, how are we on creatures? We don't have this set to type anymore. We have 27 creatures. We're good on creatures now. Oh, and we only need 1 more card in the deck. Okay. Did we look at artifacts? Non-artifact spells you control have improvise. Yes, actually. I like that. Oh, the Great Henge. Non-token creatures gets a +1/+1 counter and you draw a card. And it's X less to cast. So we might be removing some stuff because, oh, like this Thought Monitor. Because this is repeated card draw. And this just draws 2 cards once. Even though we just drastically increased how much this deck cost legitimately. What kind of enchantments? Human, food. Then in big N because of food. Simic Consistency, we're still not doing that. Carrick's Uprising. Oh, that's interesting. Whenever you cast a permanent spell with mana cost X, double the value of X. See, but we went more the food direction. Oh, and then this is another hilarious alternate win condition. Mechanized production, we win because we have 8 food tokens in play. We're still not doing that, but like, if you like alternate win conditions, Mechanized Production, Simic Ascendancy would totally both be really great for this deck. Court of Garenbrig is pretty cool for this deck. Rose Spiral, of course. What's nice is that it doesn't recommend stuff that's already in your deck. It's smart enough. So that's... I'm taking off this part. We're leaving the silly name, though. Yeah, so, wow. Surprise, 3 decks. It's probably because, you know, I just speed through stuff a little bit now. That's going to be it. Next week, as I super previewed, is Rakdos. This is a color combination I'm actually kind of a fan of. I'm more of a fan of this deck than this deck, but like I wanted to be prepared with at least 2 decks. I feel like I should be prepared with 3 now, just because I'm getting kind of faster a little bit, and then also some decks do put themselves together. This deck might not actually put itself together too fast because it's a weird concept. I don't know if you can recognize that little tiny picture there, but we're not doing any greater of a spoiler than this. But I'll see you then. Next week's going to be fun, I feel.